Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Anuja Kumar with the Midday News. The headlines. Maharashtra, Punjab, Karnataka, Gujarat and Chhattisgarh report steep rise in COVID-19 cases. Over 3 crore 90 lakh vaccination doses administered in the country so far. Government relaxes admission eligibility for Bachelor of Architecture degree course in view of the pandemic. Madhya Pradesh bans movement of passenger buses to and from Maharashtra from tomorrow in view of spike in COVID cases. Filing of nomination for assembly elections in Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry to end today. Nomination process for third phase of assembly elections in Assam and West Bengal also ends today. Rating agency Moody's projects India's GDP to grow by 12% this year. India's forest cover increases to 24.56% of geographical area, government informs Lok Sabha. 82nd Raising Day of CRPF being celebrated today. And in cricket, Bcci announces 18-member squad for the upcoming 3-match one-day international series against England. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. Now the news in detail. The government today said Maharashtra, Punjab, Karnataka, Gujarat and Chhattisgarh are reporting a steep rise in daily new COVID cases. Maharashtra reported the highest daily new cases at 25,833. It is followed by Punjab with 2,369, while Kerala reported 1,899 new cases. The Union Health Ministry said the centre is actively engaging with all state and union territory governments, especially those showing an upsurge in daily new cases and with a high caseload of active cases. It said the centre is regularly reviewing the status of COVID containment and public health measures with them. The ministry said states and UTs have been advised to improve testing in districts reporting reduction in testing. They have also been advised to carry out an average close contact tracing of minimum of 20 persons per positive case in the first 72 hours, along with isolation and early treatment of serious cases. It is advised to focus on surveillance and stringent containment of those areas in selected districts which are seeing cluster of cases and focus on clinical management in districts reporting higher deaths. Recently, the centre had deputed high-level public health teams to Maharashtra and Punjab to assist in COVID-19 control and containment measures in view of recent spike in cases in these states.
The Gujarat government has decided to suspend classes in schools till 10th of April in 8 municipal corporation areas due to recent surge in COVID-19 cases. These 8 municipal corporations are Ahmedabad, Surat, Vadodara, Rajkot, Jamnagar, Junagadh, Bhavnagar and Gandhinagar. Online education and home learning will continue. The first exam in secondary and higher secondary schools in these 8 municipal corporation areas will be conducted online. Our Ahmedabad correspondent reports that the state government has also asked the intern doctors and senior medical students to report before the municipal commissioners and district collectors for emergency duty.
Gujarat has recorded 1,276 new cases of COVID-19 during the last 24 hours. The maximum new cases have been reported from the 4 major cities of the state, Surat, Ahmedabad, Vadodara and Rajkot. Number of active cases in the state also reached up to 5,684, out of which 63 patients are on ventilator. Meanwhile, 899 patients have been discharged from the hospitals yesterday after the recovery. With this, the total number of people recovered so far in the state has reached up to 2,72,332. At the other end, 1,55,174 persons have been vaccinated in the state yesterday against COVID-19. Yogesh Pandya, AR News, Ahmedabad.
The Madhya Pradesh government yesterday announced a ban on the movement of passenger buses to and from Maharashtra from March 20th. More from our Bhopal correspondent.
In view of the alarming rise in COVID cases in the neighboring state Maharashtra, state government announced ban on movement of passenger buses to and from Maharashtra. The restriction will be imposed from March 20. The decision was taken by Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan during a meeting to review the COVID-19 situation with municipal commissioners and district collectors. The government has already advised officials in border districts to place the passengers arriving from Maharashtra in week-long quarantine. Meanwhile, Madhya Pradesh on Thursday reported 917 COVID-positive cases, while positivity rate increased to 5.0%. Pooja P. Vardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
In Rajasthan, corona infections have increased rapidly in last 1 week and the positivity rate has increased thrice. More than 300 COVID-positive cases have been reported daily in the last 2 days. Also, the number of active cases has increased to more than 3,000 in the state. A report.
Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot has reviewed the situation of COVID infection through a video conference. The Chief Minister has instructed to take strict action against those who are not following COVID protocol. Health Secretary Siddharth Mahajan told that most of the active patients are in home isolation. He informed that the Health Department has planned to increase sampling to isolate suspected infections and start treating them immediately. On the other hand, monitoring has been increased by the administration in the border districts. Jitendra Dwivedi, AIR News, Jaipur.
Ladakh registered a sudden spike in new cases of COVID positive as 11 more cases have been reported during the last 24 hours and the total active cases have increased to 51 in the Union Territory. Our Leh correspondent has filed this report.
As per the daily COVID-19 media bulletin on public health measures taken to control and prevent the COVID infection in Ladakh has seen spike with report of 10 cases in Leh district and 1 cases in Kargil district. 994 samples have been tested for COVID in 3 COVID laboratories in RAT and 11 samples of them have been tested positive for coronavirus infection. Meanwhile, the administration has enhanced its COVID-19 surveillance in entire region. People reaching Ladakh has been made mandatory to have RT-PCR negative report of 96 hours before arrival at Leh. Yangchen Dolma for AIR News from Leh, Ladakh.
In view of the COVID-19 pandemic, the admission eligibility for Bachelor of Architecture degree course has been relaxed for academic session 2021-22. Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank has said the minimum requirement of 50% in physics, chemistry and mathematics, an aggregate of 10+2 is relaxed to only pass in 12th class with PCM subjects or 10+3 diploma with maths. The Union Health Ministry said the country has administered over 3 crore 93 lakh vaccination doses in the country so far. More than 22,02,000 people have been inoculated with COVID-19 vaccine doses in the last 24 hours. The country saw a spike in reported cases, taking the total number of new infections to 39,726 in the past 24 hours, taking the cumulative positive cases to over 1 crore 15 lakh. The Health Ministry said 154 deaths have also been reported during the last 24 hours, taking the toll to over 1,59,000 across the country. The country's COVID-19 recovery rate is 96.26% at present, with the total recovery of more than 20,000 patients in the last 24 hours. The ministry said more than 1 crore 10 lakh patients have already recovered from the disease. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is over 2,71,000, which comprises only 2.36% of the total positive cases.
Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu has urged MPs and people to be extra careful in view of the rising number of COVID-19 cases in some parts of the country. Making these comments in the Rajya Sabha today, he urged everyone to follow the guidelines issued by the Health Ministry and the state governments strictly to check the spread of the pandemic. The Vice President asked the MPs to make efforts to educate people in taking adequate precautions. The chairman said that the country should not allow the situation to deteriorate. He also appealed to all eligible people to take the vaccine. The government today reiterated that COVID-19 vaccines are safe and there should be no doubt on their efficacy. Replying to supplementaries during the question hour in the Lok Sabha today, Health and Family Welfare Minister Dr. Harshvardhan said that any vaccine undergoes rigorous scientific trials and expert scrutiny at national and international level before it is administered. He said minimal side effects have been reported with regard to COVID-19 vaccines in the country so far. He urged the people to come forward to take COVID-19 vaccines.
लगभग 3.5-4 करोड़ लोगों को डोजेज लग गई हैं, जिसमें अगर आप साइड इफेक्ट्स देखेंगे तो 0.000432 ये आज हमारा ये वैक्सीन के बारे में भारत का ये साइड इफेक्ट है। इसलिए मैं समझता हूं कि जो चीज साइंटिफिक स्क्रूटनी और विश्लेषण से बाहर आती है और जब उसका इस्तेमाल होता है और सारी दुनिया कर रही है, इतने सारे दुनिया में एक्सपर्ट्स उसको सारे बातों का ध्यान करके करते हैं, आपके माध्यम से हम देश के लोगों को भी ये कहना चाहते हैं कि वैक्सीन के बारे में कोई अपने मन में किसी भी प्रकार का भ्रम न रखें और आपको जो सुविधा उपलब्ध कराई है भारत सरकार ने, प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने नेतृत्व देकर उस सुविधा को अपने निकट के सरकारी या प्राइवेट अस्पताल में जाकर और एक फोन से अपनी बुकिंग कराकर आप उस वैक्सीन को लीजिए, अपने को सुरक्षित करिए, अपने मित्रों को, अपने परिवारजनों को, समाज में सबको सुरक्षित करने का काम करिए।
Maharashtra has taken the first position in vaccination in the country. The state government is also focusing on tracking, testing and treatment to control the pandemic situation in the state. Health Minister Rajesh Tope has instructed the administration to increase institutional quarantine. More from our Mumbai correspondent.
Maharashtra has taken lead position in vaccination. As per Ministry of Health and Family Welfare data, the state has given more than 38 lakh doses to the citizens till morning. As per state government, 8.68 lakh health workers, 4.67 lakh frontline workers, 2.8 lakh persons with comorbidities are vaccinated. Senior citizens are giving huge response to the COVID-19 vaccination drive. In Maharashtra, yesterday, a record number of patients tested positive for coronavirus. According to Health Department, the state reported 25,833 new cases on yesterday. The previous highest single day toll for the Maharashtra was 24,886 cases on September 11 last year. Jeevan Bhavsar, Air News, Mumbai.
Legendary Jamaican and West Indies cricketer Chris Gayle has thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the people and government of India for the gift of Made in India vaccines to Jamaica. He said India's vaccine maitri is very much appreciated.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Maharashtra, Punjab, Karnataka, Gujarat and Chhattisgarh report steep rise in COVID-19 cases. Over 3 crore 90 lakh vaccination doses administered in the country so far. Government relaxes admission eligibility for Bachelor of Architecture degree course in view of the pandemic. Madhya Pradesh bans movement of passenger buses to and from Maharashtra from tomorrow in view of spike in COVID cases. Filing of nomination for assembly elections in Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry to end today. Nomination process for third phase of assembly elections in Assam and West Bengal also ends today. Rating agency Moody's projects India's GDP to grow by 12% this year. India's forest cover increases to 24.56% of geographical area, government informs Lok Sabha. 82nd Raising Day of CRPF being celebrated today. And in cricket, BCCI announces 18-member squad for the upcoming 3-match one-day international series against England. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
Welcome back to the Midday News. Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar has said that India's forest cover is continuously increasing and it has reached 24.56% of geographical area of the country. He was replying to supplementaries during question hour in Lok Sabha today. He asserted that India is on track to achieve its targets set under the Paris Agreement for combating climate change. The minister said implementation of the National Action Plan on Climate Change and other measures have led to reduction in emission intensity of GDP by 24% between 2005 and 2016. Replying to a question about the increasing pollution level in the country, the minister said the government has taken a series of measures to reduce carbon emission and is committed to reduce the pollution level in 100 cities in the next 5 years under the National Clean Air Programme announced by Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
प्रधानमंत्री ने स्वतंत्रता दिन पर इस बार लाल किले के प्राचीर से बताया है कि आने वाले 5 साल में हम 100 शहरों में जहां प्रदूषण का समस्या है उस प्रदूषण की स्थिति में सुधार करेंगे और उसके लिए हमने नेशनल क्लीन एयर प्रोग्राम तैयार किया है और उसका हर सिटी वाइज प्रोफाइल अलग होता है प्रदूषण का कारण अलग होते हैं तो उन कारणों पर उपाय करने वाले एक हर शहर का प्लान बन गया है उसके लिए हमने पैसा भी दिया है और सभी राज्यों के साथ काम करके हम प्रधानमंत्री के लक्ष्य को निश्चित हासिल करेंगे.
He rejected a claim that sufficient allocation was not made in this year's budget for combating climate change. The minister added that India's net emission of carbon is very low as compared to other developed countries, and the country is taking every possible step to lower the emission level.
The Lok Sabha has taken up the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Amendment Bill 2021 for consideration and passage. The bill seeks to amend the Minerals Development and Regulation Act 1957 and provides for removal of distinction between captive and merchant mines. The bill empowers the central government to issue directions regarding composition and utilization of funds maintained by the District Mineral Foundation. The bill provides that captive mines may sell up to 50% of their annual mineral production other than atomic minerals in the open market after meeting their own needs. Moving the bill, Coal Minister Prahlad Joshi said that it has been brought to reform the mining sector in the country.
Today is one of the most remarkable day in mining sector, which will be remembered in the years to come. Under the leadership of Modi, we are unshackling the mineral potential of the country. By this reform, 2.5% of the contribution of mining sector to the GDP, it will strengthen the state economy. By strengthening the state, country will become strong. When India becomes strong, it will help the entire world. I request all members from all this to support this wholeheartedly and pass this unanimously. And as I already said, reform is an ongoing process.
He said the country has large reserves of several minerals, but they were not properly utilized due to several reasons, which have resulted in dependence on imports. Terming the bill historic, Joshi said it will increase the production level of minerals, generate employment, increase revenues, and ensure private participation in the exploration and mining activities. He added that more than 55 lakh employment will be generated in the country with the implementation of these reforms. He said the bill empowers the central government to specify a time period for completion of the auction process in consultation with the state government. Participating in the discussion, Vincent H. Pala of Congress termed this move a desperate attempt, saying that the government is facing financial difficulty. He alleged that the central government is infringing on the rights of the state's government. Sunil Kumar Singh of BJP lauded the legislation, saying it will bring reforms in the mining sector. The discussion is underway.
The government has clarified that there is no proposal under consideration at present to bring in a two-child policy to control the rising population in the country. This was stated in the Lok Sabha today by Minister of State for Health, Ashwini Chaubey, in a written reply. The minister said as per the National Family Health Survey data for the period of 2015-16, fertility rate has declined in the country to 2.2 as compared to 2.7 in 2005-6. He said 28 states and union territories have already achieved the replacement level fertility of 2.1 or less.
The process of filing of nomination closes today for the third phase of assembly elections in West Bengal and third and final phase in Assam. It also ends today for the assembly elections in Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Union Territory of Puducherry, where the polling is being held in a single phase. Electioneering for the assembly elections is gaining momentum in all the states, particularly in the constituencies where today is the last date for filing nominations. 47 assembly constituencies in Assam and 30 assembly constituencies of West Bengal go to polls on the 27th of March in the first phase. In the second phase, polling will be held on 1st of April in 30 assembly constituencies of West Bengal and 39 assembly constituencies of Assam. 40 assembly constituencies of Assam and 31 assembly constituencies of West Bengal will go to polls on the 6th of April in the third phase. Kerala, Tamil Nadu along with the Union Territory of Puducherry will go to polls on a single day on the 6th of April. On that day, polling would be held for all the 140 assembly constituencies of Kerala and 234 assembly constituencies in Tamil Nadu along with 30 assembly constituencies in Puducherry. Polling would also be held for Kanyakumari Lok Sabha seat in Tamil Nadu and Malappuram Lok Sabha constituency in Kerala simultaneously, where the by-elections are being held.
In Tamil Nadu, filing of nomination for the upcoming assembly elections in all the 234 assembly constituencies comes to an end today. So far, 4,042 candidates have filed their nominations. That includes 679 women and 1 transgender. Scrutiny of nominations will take place on the 20th and 21st of March, and withdrawal of nomination will be on the 22nd of March. The assembly polls will be held on April the 6th in a single phase. Tamil Nadu Chief Electoral Officer Satyavrata Sahu told media that more than 2,45,000 voters have applied for postal ballot till now. More from our Chennai correspondent.
The highest number of 62 candidates filed their nomination in Karur Assembly constituency, followed by Kangayam with 50 candidates and Mettur with 45 candidates. Campaigning for the assembly election has intensified by various political parties in the 234 assembly constituencies. AIADMK Joint Coordinator and Chief Minister Edappadi K. Panichami is campaigning for his party candidates in Kadalur and Ariyalur districts today. DMK Chief M.K. Stalin is campaigning at Thanjavur and Tirupur districts. It is to be noted that former AIADMK Minister Topi N.T. Venkatachalam, elected from Perundurai, and AIADMK MLA Chandrasekharan, elected from Sendamangalam, have filed their nomination papers as independent candidates after being denied a ticket by the party. With joy, this is R. Murthy, AR News, Chennai.
The Income Tax Department has stepped up its monitoring and is closely watching the cash movement during the ensuing assembly elections. The department had conducted search actions on 5 premises in Chennai last Tuesday. The action resulted in a cash seizure of 5 crore 32 lakh rupees.
In poll-bound Kerala, the election campaign is gaining momentum as the process of filing of nominations closes today for the state assembly elections. The state will witness single-phase elections and all the 140 assembly constituencies will go to polls on the 6th of April. A report.
Polling for the by-election for the Malappuram Lok Sabha seat will also be held on 6th April. The total strength of the House is 140, out of which 14 seats are reserved for the scheduled castes and 2 seats are reserved for the scheduled tribes. In the assembly elections held in 2016, Communist Party of India Marxists emerged as the single largest party, winning 58 seats, while the Indian National Congress won 22 seats. Communist Party of India bagged 19, Indian Union Muslim League won 18 seats, while Kerala Congress M and Independents got 6 seats each. Others were elected on 5 seats. Janata Dal Secular got 3 seats, Nationalist Congress Party 2 seats, while the remaining one went to Bharatiya Janata Party. Diksha Saxena, News Desk.
In West Bengal, the Trinamool Congress Party has replaced its candidates for 4 assembly constituencies for the upcoming assembly elections. The names of new candidates for Kalyani Assembly constituency in Madhya district, Ashok Nagar and Amdanga Assembly constituencies in North 24 Parganas district and Dubrajpur Assembly constituency in Birbhum district have been published today by AITC in a press release.
A 5-member delegation of the Trinamool Congress Party today met the Election Commission in New Delhi and discussed issues related to free and fair polling in the upcoming elections in West Bengal. The delegation, comprising Shaugato Roy, Yashwant Sinha, Mohammad Nadimul Haq, Pratima Mondal and Mahua Moitro, met the media after the meeting. Mahua Moitro, MP, said the party raised the issue regarding the rule under which the Commission is proposing to put only central forces within 100 meters of a polling booth. In Assam, today is the last day for filing of nomination papers for the third and final phase of polls. This phase will cover 40 seats on the 6th of April. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi began his 2-day visit to poll-bound Assam from today. He will address 3 election rallies in Upper Assam and Northern Assam. He will also interact with the tea garden workers and college students during his visit.
American business and financial services company Moody's Analytics has projected India's GDP to grow by 12% in 2021. In an earlier estimate last November, it had said India's GDP will grow at 9% in the calendar year. In an updated projection released yesterday, it said India's near-term prospects have turned more favorable following a stronger than expected December quarter, when GDP grew by 0.4% over the year, following a 7.5% contraction in the September quarter. Domestic and external demand has been on the mend since the easing of restrictions, which has led to improved manufacturing output in recent months. Talking to All India Radio News, economist Naveen Gupta said,
12% from its previous forecast of 9% in November. This is good news for the country, and this shows the efforts of the government of India, which have been consistently coming out with various measures, is successful. In December quarter, India has a very strong GDP growth rate of 0.4%, up from minus 7.5% in September 2020. This is because GST collection has been consistently over month on month has been more than 110 lakh crore. We are having unprecedented levels of forex reserves. Foreign portfolio investment is rising, rise in bank credit, and in future, private consumption is going to go up. Because of this reason, our country is going to be into virtuous circle and it will increase the employment.
Minister of State for Home Nityanand Rai has said that Central Reserve Police Force CRPF is engaged in a committed manner to implement government's policies in left-wing extremism-affected areas. Speaking on the occasion of the 82nd CRPF Raising Day Parade, the minister said CRPF paved way for peace and development in left-wing extremism-prone areas of Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh. He praised the force for ensuring the security of the country. The minister said last year CRPF had neutralized 247 extremists and captured 968 extremists.
लगातार बदलती परिस्थितियों एवं आतंकवादियों के बदलते पैतरों के अनुरूप रणनीति और युद्ध कौशल में नव परिवर्तन लाने के लिए इस संगठन के नेतृत्व में एक बड़ी जिम्मेवारी है। ऐसे क्षेत्रों में शांति स्थापना एवं उन्नति के लिए विभिन्न योजनाओं के माध्यम से विकास कार्यों को कर रहे हैं, जिसमें सीआरपीएफ की बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका है। वर्तमान समय में जम्मू और कश्मीर में पाकिस्तान प्रायोजित आतंकवाद का मुकाबला करते हुए उग्रवादियों का सफाया एवं जम्मू कश्मीर में शांति स्थापित करना तथा विकास के मार्ग प्रशस्त करने तथा उन्हें मुख्य धारा में लाने की सरकार की नीति को लागू करने में सीआरपीएफ अपनी महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभा रही है।
The BCCI today announced an 18-member squad for the upcoming 3-match one-day international ODI series against England. The series begins on 23rd of March with BCCI deciding to hold all the ODIs in Pune. Batsmen Surya Kumar Yadav, pacers Prasiddh Krishna, Mohammad Siraj and all-rounder Krunal Pandya have been picked up in the India squad for the series.
Now a look at the weather forecast for the day. National capital Delhi may experience generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. It registered 19 degrees as minimum temperature and may have a maximum temperature of 34 degrees Celsius. Srinagar may witness mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening with temperature hovering between 4 and 19 degrees. Jammu will have a mainly clear sky. City will have a maximum temperature of around 30 degrees, rising from 16 degrees Celsius. Leh is having partly cloudy sky. It will have a maximum of 10 degrees temperature with rising from -5 degrees. Gilgit will have mainly clear sky with temperature hovering between 5 and 21 degrees. Muzaffarabad having mainly clear sky may become partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening with a maximum temperature of around 25 degrees Celsius. And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Maharashtra, Punjab, Karnataka, Gujarat and Chhattisgarh report steep rise in COVID-19 cases. Over 3 crore 90 lakh vaccination doses administered in the country so far. Government relaxes admission eligibility for Bachelor of Architecture degree course in view of the pandemic. Madhya Pradesh bans movement of passenger buses to and from Maharashtra from tomorrow in view of spike in COVID cases. Filing of nomination for assembly elections in Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry to end today. Nomination process for third phase of assembly elections in Assam and West Bengal also ends today. Rating agency Moody's projects India's GDP to grow by 12% this year. India's forest cover increases to 24.56% of geographical area, government informs Lok Sabha. 82nd Raising Day of CRPF being celebrated today. And in cricket, Bcci announces 18-member squad for the upcoming 3-match one-day international series against England. And with that, we end the midday news.